I mentioned in the video on the Gran Turismo community how teams can make the game better by making drivers overall better when they work together, and then that makes competition that much better. And how on the YouTube side, the YouTube creators are overall getting more and more popular because there's the staples who've been around the community for a long time, and the new up-and-coming YouTubers that add new things to the community that have yet to be seen, or just now being seen that people enjoy. And those two things obviously correlate because a lot of those YouTubers make their own teams and all that. But another thing that's sort of an after effect of both the teams and the YouTube community is sometimes that makes drivers make new accounts, alternate accounts, whatever it may be, but nonetheless one person having multiple accounts. And in my opinion, that's still overall a good thing. I didn't mention it in the previous video because it sort of deserves its own video. Because obviously there's ways in which you could sort of manipulate the account and just make it to where your main account you keep as high of a rating as you can get with driver and sportsmanship rating. And then the other account you do just way lower, and then you can win farm and then get the total amount of wins on one account to be really high, racing against drivers who are way lower than your skill level, and then the other account you just have as high of a driver and sportsmanship rating as possible, so then you can brag to say, I have this many wins and this high of a driver and sportsmanship rating when really it's multiple accounts. And that's kind of an iffy way of doing it, but the majority of accounts that I've seen are either or both made to be used to be on a team, and then they make an account with that team involved in it. And then that helps because, as in the last video I mentioned, the team aspect, more drivers together can make each other better. And or the account is used to practice more for the FIA races, which is usually a good thing too. While that could mean the races in general of when they try to level up that account at the beginning, that takes wins away from other people who are lower levels. Those people who are lower levels could also just save the replay and see what they did to try to become better as well. And the part about the practicing for FIA races helps everyone in general because it makes the competition better. And because the way the algorithm works, the more better drivers that are in our field, the higher points for all the drivers. So that sort of kind of benefits everybody. The more good drivers there are, even if it is multiple counts. The same driver racing 2 times a day, and if they're a good driver, makes 2 fields better. So that's a good thing. And with all that considered, there is a bit of negatives, but mostly positives. I have decided to do my own Gran Turismo Sport alternate account. And I'm just going to say, yeah, I sort of kind of made it to practice for FIA races. But I mentioned from the very start of Gran Turismo Sport, the online portion is a little bit hectic, involving the penalty system. And, well, it's kind of fun to just have an account where I don't have to worry about that. So there's going to be a bit of both in there. Racing the way that I enjoy racing, and practicing for FIA races. But to start out, let's start out with a positive that pretty much everyone can agree with. And practice for some FIA races. But there'll be some more controversial racing in the future, I'll just say that. But anyway, this is round 1 of the first annual, whatever, I think it's year by year apparently, Gran Turismo Sport Manufacturer Cup. And it's at Suzuka, and I'm in the Viper. This is the end of qualifying. And, well, this is very much the end of qualifying. 4, 3, 2, 1. I got pole with 4 seconds left. That's about as clutch as you can get right yonder, ain't it? I kind of sort of timed that to be a little bit clutch. I wasn't 100% sure I'd be able to get pole, but I was figuring that I could improve my time. If y'all are wondering why I read my engine, that's why, because Beavis and Butthead is awesome. But anyway, let's start this race, folks. You can't be not hyped after that intro, and well, I'm pretty caught picking hyped. I got the pole in the Mopar, my own livery, at the very front. Can't do that if I were to run my normal count. There'd be no way I get pole there. And I got the pole in the most dramatic way possible with the best intro possible. So let's do this, folks. This should go pretty caught picking awesome. Because it doesn't matter how it goes, this ain't my main account. That's pretty caught picking cool right yonder. I can just run a race and not even really worry about the consequences. Hallelujah. But anyway, there's a Lexus right caught picking behind me. As I said, whether what account it may be or not, I'm always better applying pressure than avoiding pressure. And by default, I can't exactly apply pressure right now because I got the pole. But I'd still much rather be in first than second, even though, as I said, I'm better applying. Because that's just sort of kind of how the penalty system works. Generally, the first place driver doesn't get quite as many penalties usually. I ain't showing the penalties here because honestly it didn't end up mattering in the race. But y'all guessed it, folks. That's penalty. Barely any contact and no one's fault, and that's still a 1 second penalty. That driver went ahead and deleted it, I think, or deleted some of it or whatever. But yeah, that little bit of contact there was already a caught picking penalty. Wonderful. I may do a separate video on it though. The penalty system is at least better now. The recent update did help it some, but it helped more in the way in which penalties are deleted. It's still about the same in which how penalties are gotten. And penalties are still gotten for basically doing nothing wrong. Neither of us could really avoid that, and we still both got a penalty for it. Each was only 1 second penalty though, so moving on. Neither of those really affected the course of the race, but as I said before, I'll try to make the spectations not as much about the penalties and make it more positive. But the FIA races are that much longer anyway, so there's time to actually bring it up, so I may as well. But this is a bit of a positive though. That Viper may very well be able to get second. I think at this point, second already completely deleted the penalty. But nonetheless, that Viper's still right caught picking there. I waited to delete the penalty till later because at this point, second is about 1 second exactly back. And I only had a 1 second penalty, so I really had no need to delete it at that point. I just wanted the race to pan out to see what would happen, and then I go with deciding where to delete the penalty later. But anyway, as of now, there was a good reason I was doing that, because that Viper was right caught picking there. But now that Lexus is right caught picking there on my Viper. Jiminy Cricket, I'll give second place credit where credit is due. They already deleted the penalty, had another driver right on their bumper, and pretty much just drove away, where now they're right back on my bumper. Yeah, I got pole mainly because the car's better, but I think that driver may be better. I never really see anyone use Lexus ever in these events, so I don't really know what that car's specialty is. But I think overall that driver is definitely more consistent. Car, maybe not. But for Jiminy Cricket's sakes, that kind of shows there for the car. While the Viper's probably all in all faster, I quite literally just spun there on a rumble strip. No grass involved there at all. That's just a cotton picking rumble strip. Nürburgring, you spin when you get on rumble strips because there's grass right on the other side of it. There wasn't even grass there. Can someone please explain how those physics work in the comments? Because I literally just spun there for going on the rumble strip and only the rumble strip. That section has quite literally no grass. I never would have thought in a million years I would spin there, but apparently that's a spin because PD physics. I ain't gonna say logic there because I really don't know if that's realistic or not, but all other tracks, if there's a rumble strip and only a rumble strip when you go on the rumble strip in a perfectly fine Group 3 car, it's not a spin out. But anyway, another thing that's not just PD physics, it's straight up PD logic, is look at the fuel and tires, folks. That's the Mitsubishi, that's my Viper. Can y'all already see a bit of a difference there? Mitsubishi, Viper. Mitsubishi, Viper. Yeah, I think y'all can see a bit of a difference there. Supposedly there's going to be something about new tire models in the update. I don't really know if that happened or not. But nonetheless, whatever, if it did or didn't, the tire model on the Viper still wears a whole heck of a heap more than the majority of the rest of them. As y'all can see there, I did move up some, but still, it's not that far into the race, and it's already obvious tire wear difference. But even with the Viper having less tire wear, it's still putting up a good fight against the leader there. Not my Viper, but it's still a decent enough fight, I guess. As I said too, is I think the Viper is just straight up better than the Lexus. It's hard to tell with driver talent exactly in qualifying because some people got held up. I was able to run my last lap with a completely clean track. I don't know about everyone else though, so who knows, but I think it is pretty well known the Viper's better than the Lexus, given that no one ever uses the Lexus, except for this race, and it's kind of showing. Viper with a whole heck of a heap less tire wear is pretty much right on its back bumper. Can it actually do things though? Well, they're pitting, so I don't know. We'll see in a moment, folks. This is after the pit stop, and no, it cannot do anything. It got really close, even on bad tires, but Jiminy Cricket, that's not fair. I mean, maybe there was a bit of fuel conservation by the leader there, and that's sort of why the Viper caught up, but Jiminy Cricket, man. That Lexus literally just gained 5 seconds, basically doing nothing. That's just the entire pit stop there of how it gained time. Not driver talent, just car being that much better with the fuel economy and stuff. As I said, the Viper is faster, so that matters to an extent. But let's just say there's 3/10 per lap affected between the Viper and the Lexus. The Viper's better by 3/10 a lap. Actually, that's about what it was in qualifying. I think the leader got a 202.8, I got a 202.4. 3 or 4 attempts. That was literally 5 seconds in one pit stop. 5 attempts a lap is still 10 laps. It wasn't even that much. And the race is only 12 laps. I say that, and some of the people decided not to pit, and that means their cars were doing better in terms of fuel and tires, and it didn't really work out. So in a way, the Lexus kinda had strategy there by going ahead and pitting, even though it could have gone another lap. So that was some skill there in understanding the strategy. But still, that's a little bit sad that tire and fuel consumption decides to race more than the actual driver talent. But anyway, that's the Lexus. That's the Viper. There's other cars. And then there's me. At least second through me are starting to get a little bit bunched up. Honestly, that's mainly because the Viper does not have the dangest tire wear in the world. But at least that makes the racing good. Okay, that's going to be 10 seconds of penalties, isn't it? Well, the racing was good until a minor contact that wasn't dirty whatsoever happened. And then now there's penalties. Actually, at this point, I don't know what their penalties were, but I can only assume both those were penalties, given that I got a penalty earlier on for pretty much the same thing. But they tapped twice, I only tapped once. And it's only the direct capture that shows penalties, and it only shows penalties for the driver, and then obviously direct capture, I can't move between the other drivers. So I don't know what their penalties were, but I do know. Well, it's helping me a little bit. I'm right there. Like, literally right there. And who knows when they're going to try the leader penalty. It looks like that driver's actually going to go ahead and try there. So, I get around. There we go, folks. That works. Again, I'd rather pass somebody on pure speed and not just random penalty bad luck for the other drivers, but I'll take what I can get, and what I got wasn't too terrible there. I got a clean pass there from the other driver deleting a penalty, but now, let's see if I can get the driver in front cleanly. Again, by default, I'm kind of already ahead of the other driver because that's how the end screen would be at this moment, because I'm within a second of the other driver, and that driver probably has at least 1 second of penalty. But I'd still at least like to attempt to get first. I say that though, and well, I mean, it's lap 10 and my tires ain't the best in the world. The car behind me still has decent tires. So even though I was able to pass when that other driver deleted a penalty, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm faster. Look at the tire wear, folks. Also, I'd like to point out too, that's not just me being bad on fuel and tires. As y'all saw right there, both of the Vipers were pretty much equal, and, well, I was just slightly better with managing it. Now, though, can I be better about managing it than the Subaru with a lot better fuel and tires behind? I don't know. I haven't actually raced with that driver much yet, so kind of hard to say. I think the driver behind me is actually playing more for the economy strategy and saving tires for the end, so I really don't know how this is going to work, given I haven't raced with that driver too much. But I also want to try to race with the lead driver by the end, who, oddly enough, I'm actually running better lap times than right now. I actually ended up with the fastest lap time in the race, and I ran with the freshest tires possible, because the leader was in a bit of a scuffle after like pit stops and stuff with that RZ2 or whatever that didn't pit, so that driver couldn't get a clean lap while I could. But in theory, right now, that's where the leader would be gaining that time back, because the tires are better. But now I'm still gradually gaining on the leader, but that also means third is gradually gaining on the leader, because we're both still pretty cotton picket close. I went away a bit on the straightaway, but I have a hunch third's going to gain a little bit in the turns. But I need to still gain a little bit of in the turns on the leader. Let's see, folks. I mean, y'all can see the leader right there. Barely, because the sun glare is terrible. But that's also a slight PD logic there, too. Why did they pick this time to set the race at? That's a pretty cotton picket bad sun glare. Yeah, it's really not much more to comment there other than that. I mean, that's some bad sun glare. But anyway, I've done decently well through that section despite the sun glare. I'm much better at that part of the track than the upcoming part of the track. I'm a lot better at the Suzuki East than the rest of it, that's for sure. But that car has a lot better tire wear than mine, no matter what the section is. So it's getting down to the nitty gritty at this point, and I'm kind of running out of tires and running out of time to catch first. This could go a lot of ways, but hopefully at the very worst, it's third. At the best, first. But I just hope that everyone in this general pack is clean. The leader's sort of kind of in the pack, given I'm gaining time on him. By the end of the race, it might be a pack. Third is definitely in the minor pack there of two drivers, not that big of a pack. But again, it may be three by the end of the race. It's getting pretty close to the end of the race, though. I'm losing a little bit of time there on third, too. My Viper's is fast on the straights, but draft is a great equalizer, and that car is completely in the draft now. I'm a little bit worried. That car has the draft, plus better tires, and I'm still having to push to try to catch the leader, because I'm right there close to it. So I'm sort of kind of having to apply and avoid pressure. Because even though I'm not theoretically applying pressure right now, I may be in a minute or so. And I better be in a minute, because really there's only about 2 minutes of racing left. So, yeah, I don't know, folks. I don't know. I'm a little bit worried at this point. That Subaru's obviously gaining, and there's really nothing I can do about it at this point. My strategy now is to stay on the inside lines and make the Subaru have to pass on the outside. Which it might be able to do, and it might very well easily be able to pass in a braking zone. There's not too many of them here, but there's going to be soon, and if that Subaru's right there, starting in a braking zone, there's not too much I can do about it. Granted, there's that final back straight as well, where if the Subaru does pass, I'll have to draft. and I might be able to make a pass down there again. But I'd still rather just keep the lead, even though, obviously, again, better applying than avoiding pressure. At this point, there may not be enough time to apply enough pressure to do anything if I get past. So, I'd rather just stay where I am. And that was partially why I went a bit wide there. I didn't want to brake while turning into that narrow hairpin there. So, I just braked after that small turn going into it. I knew I'd go wide. But I also knew at the very max, the best third could do is get side-by-side whip in. I knew I'd have to run off. So I knew no matter what there, I was going to come out ahead. And I knew the Subaru still wouldn't be able to quite make a pass on the straight. It can gain on me in the straight with the draft, but I knew it's not going to make a pass. So it's going to come down to the final little chicane there if third tries to make a dive ball. This is literally going to decide the race. How clean is third going to be through here? I don't know. I don't have the grip to really contain third there, so third dive bomb's here. I'm screwed. Well, hallelujah. Third is clean, and I very much thank you for that if you're watching this video. A lot of people in that situation would have just dive bombed, and there was nothing I could have done if they did. I actually got pretty darn near first by the end of that, like really close. There was only like a second and a half difference by the end there. But still, that was definitely more of a race for second. But it was a pretty cop pick a good and pretty cop pick a good race for second, though. So I can't really complain about that one, folks. That went a lot cleaner than I honestly figured it would once I saw the Viper's tire wear issues in the first stint before I pitted for the first time. But it actually went pretty cop picking well. And I didn't have the tires to really contend with the Lexus. But I still made a decent run enough to get second. In a very fun race with about the best intro ever. And I got about the most clutch pole performance ever, getting it with about 3 seconds left. So, all things considered, I do believe that's most definitely worth a yeehaw. A lot more than if I would have tried that race with my main account. That's for sure, folks. That's for sure. Yeehaw. And there'll be more crazy racing to come. Yeehaw.